Hey, this is Jesse at Investfluent.com. So I've watched a lot of CoffeeZilla videos, and he's got a lot of stuff about fake gurus. And at the same time, I just started a website. So I've started getting some comments. I've started getting comments on my articles. And because I don't really have a bio up about me yet, right? I was like, okay, I'm just going to write a bunch of articles. People right away, they're coming at me with like their tinfoil hats on. They're like, who is Investfluent? And I wrote an article about the IMF. Right? So different governments are becoming indebted to the IMF, and then they have to do what the IMF says in order to get out of debt. And so they no longer have control over their own country. They're in debt to the IMF. Right? Pretty basic stuff. Nothing very like crazy. But people are coming out and they're like, oh, who is Investfluent? Who is Investfluent? But it's annoying. It's annoying. I'll go with it's very annoying when you put a bunch of work into something and people are like, oh, this guy is himself the bad guy, or he's the IMF, or who's the money? Who's doing this? Who's putting money behind this? That's the best one. So anyway, at the same time as I started building my website and doing all this, and I'm starting to get the tinfoil hat responses. Now, and by that I mean like crazy people. People are like, oh, who is this guy? Now, I've also been watching videos by CoffeeZilla. Now, these are good videos. I like these videos. I like them. So he exposes essentially fake gurus, right? So he's going through like the Dan Locks and the I don't know. I can't even think of anybody else. He's the one who's saying they did this stuff. I don't know what they do. I mean, I'm not. Go watch his videos, CoffeeZilla. And I noticed on my YouTube suggested videos that a lot of those guys on my suggested videos are fake gurus. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I should make a bio, right? Maybe I should make something, fill that with something, so that people aren't worried about if I am the IMF making these videos or YouTubes or not YouTubes. If I'm making these articles, so people aren't worried if I'm the IMF making these articles, or who is the money behind Investfluent? Who is this evil guy telling me to do better? I got nothing to sell. That's the big one, man. That's how I know I'm not a fake guru. I'm not selling you a course. I got no courses. You don't have to. Everything I'm giving you is free. Okay? There's no course to buy. There's no nothing. I'm not saying I'll never have anything. Maybe one day I will come up with something. But no, I don't think so. Yeah, got holy water. That's about all I have, though. If you want to buy some holy water. So who am I? So I'm not a very outgoing person. And that's why I started with the website and writing articles, because I was like, well, I'm not a very outgoing person. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be YouTube famous. I don't want to be any of that stuff. But at the same time, I think it's probably pretty hard to do, right? I get the feeling that it's a lot harder to be YouTube famous than a lot of us think. So I'm just going to put these out and, hopefully I don't get YouTube famous. Because I don't want to go outside and people are like, hey, who's that guy? I know him from somewhere. Oh, he's on YouTube. I don't want that. I don't want people like coming up to me. I don't want to have to get my Eminem out. I don't want to have to start acting like Eminem, be all angry at everything. I definitely want to make money, and I definitely want to help other people make money. But I don't really need them to know who I am to do that. But it turns out I do, because people will think I'm some kind of evil person, right? I'm evil. And that's okay. That's a big deal. So people think that if you're giving them advice or helping them, or even just if you're telling them to like invest or whatever, that there's something that it's like fake, or that there's some kind of ill intent behind it, or you want them to buy a course, or you want them to invest all your money with them. Like, I'm not asking you, and I never will ask you to invest money with me. I'm not telling you to invest in what I'm investing in. I'll never tell you to invest in what I'm investing in, because I just don't want that pressure. I'll never say like, hey, I'm buying Carnival Cruise, you should buy Carnival Cruise. It's not going to happen. I'm buying Tesla, you should buy Tesla. It's not going to happen, because it's so difficult. Like, and knowing when somebody's buying isn't really the big part. Like, you could probably buy almost anything 10 years ago and be up on it now. You don't have to be incredibly scared to invest, and it's so much easier than it used to be. Like, you don't have to go to the newspaper. You used to have to like read it in the newspaper. You used to have to call a guy, stockbroker, and then you'd read about it in the newspaper, whether it went up or down, all that kind of stuff. And nowadays you can just go to like M1 or Robinhood or Questrade or through your bank or wherever, and you can invest in anything you want. You can look it up on the internet. You don't need a whole bunch of help for the most part. But what you do need is somebody to encourage you. And that's where, like when the markets are going down, that's a big one, right? Like the stock markets, it's 2020, there's a 2020 crisis, I'm stuck here in my house. During a crisis like this, so many stocks are on sale. But if you don't know what to buy, you just don't know what to do. And if you think that it's a scam, you're not going to invest in it. Like these are the greatest companies in the world with the greatest leaders in the world. Maybe leaders is the wrong word, but the greatest managers, the greatest CEOs, the greatest, like Bill Gates, the Warren Buffetts. You can invest in what Warren Buffett's like. You can invest in Berkshire Hathaway. You can invest in Microsoft. You can invest in Tesla, Elon Musk, Elon Musk, however you say his name. You can invest in his company. That's huge, man. That's huge. You could go today and start your own. You could like scrape together $80,000 or something and go out there and invest in a coffee shop, right? A lot of people do that. I guess a lot of people do that because there's a lot of coffee shops around here. But like there's a coffee shop on every corner. And you can do that. And you can compete against Starbucks and Tim Hortons and all these big coffee shops. And hopefully you'll make it and you can hire a bunch of people and maybe you're a good manager, or you could take any amount of money between $500, reasonably between $500 but you could do less, but between $500 and, $1 million or whatever you got, you could invest it in Microsoft or Tesla. You could pick something that's down like Carnival Cruise or an airline or some of the transport stocks, or you could pick something that's doing well anyway. So for instance, recently the markets fell 30%. Everybody's really panicking like, oh, the markets are down huge. This is terrifying. But the markets being down 30%, that's everybody overall. That doesn't mean that like if you invest $1,000, the most you're gonna make when everything's recovered is like $1,300. No. That's not how it works. The whole market's down 30%. That includes companies that have barely moved, like Apple, whereas a lot of other stocks have gone down, like transports have gone down. The cruise lines have gone down, all the airplanes have gone down in value, or price, I should say. So it's all risk reward. If you're gonna invest in something that's gone down quite a bit, you stand to make a lot more money because there's a higher risk, so there's a higher reward. But something like Amazon, there's virtually no risk and their business might have gotten better. Something like Centene, the business has probably gotten better. If Carnival Cruise were to go up from its low at about $8 or whatever, $7 let's say, to its high at like 60 or $70, you're looking at, a huge gain, 700%. I don't know, something big. But a lot of people, or even something like Atco, you're looking at 100% gain from its low to its high. That's 100% gain. So while the markets have only gone down 30%, that's not indicative of individual stocks. So that's where the value comes in. That's where the risk comes in, but that's where all the reward comes in, right? There's a very low chance that the S&P 500 never recovers. So you could probably get that 30%. People meet fear with distrust. And I mean, why would you trust me? I'm wearing my shirt inside out. You shouldn't trust me. But a lot of guys have like they'll have a big pile of money on the table. Oh, look at this big pile of money and this is my bodyguard and all that kind of stuff. And it's silly. It's ridiculous, right? Like if I had all my money on the table, then I don't have it invested. Like if I told you to buy a truck, you'd probably be like, okay, yeah, this guy's making sense. He's saying buy a truck. But you buy a truck brand new, you drive it off the lot, and it's worth half as much, the next day. If you're gonna go on a cruise, the whole package is gonna cost you a couple grand at least. If I tell you to do that, you're gonna be like, yeah, okay, that's pretty reasonable. But if I tell you to invest in Carnival Cruise, you're gonna be like, that's crazy, you could lose all your money. When you invest in Carnival Cruise, you might lose all your money. I'm not saying Carnival Cruise because you should buy that, but it's just the only thing I can think of right now. But when you invest in that, yeah, okay, you could possibly lose all of your money. When you go on a cruise, you lose 100% of your money. It's like a machine that trades money for memories. And if somebody came up to me and was like, hey man, would you like to trade $2,000 for the memory of an awesome cruise that lasted 2 weeks? I would say no. I would say no. I'd rather invest that in one of the more sketchy companies in the world, right? I'd rather invest that in Luckin Coffee or something. Like, no. But a lot of people would say, yeah. And a lot of people would say, I'm not going to invest in a company because I could lose it all. But there's so many other things you could buy that you could lose it all. You could drink a cup of coffee and lose 100% of that investment. You've traded it for bean water. So what have I done? My wife and I, bought a townhome, the lower end of the market, of the housing market. And one day we decided to fix up our place and try to sell it. And at first we were like, okay, we're just going to paint it. We're going to just paint the walls and sell this place. Yeah, that's an idea. Let's do that. And so we started painting, and it was a pretty big project because it's a 4-level townhome. And even just if you think about how many like stairwells that is, it's a lot to fix up. So first we were like, we're just going to paint it, fix it up, and sell it. 7 months later, after we'd redone both bathrooms, both kitchens, after we redid everything, almost everything, finally sold it. And we sold it right near the top of the market. Those opportunities in the housing market, everybody in my town had the same opportunity. Maybe not the same buy point, but the same sell point. Everybody had the opportunity to sell. And a lot of people bought. Within those years that it took for the housing market to go from lows to highs, a lot of people had the opportunity to buy and the opportunity to sell. And a lot of people didn't take that opportunity, right? Just like now, a lot of people have the opportunity to invest, and a lot of people are selling. A lot of people are selling their stocks right now, not investing. And that is absurd. We pretty much took out a loan with the bank, bought a place, the most money we could possibly get. It doubled in value. We sold it and took all that money and invested it in the stock market. That's how we did it. The first article I wrote on my site was about how to do that. Anyway, so I think that there's a big gap between the rich and the poor. And I think that it's growing. I think with automation, there is a real chance that there won't be a lot of jobs in the future. I really, really believe that. Like people say, one day there'll be something and everybody will be good and it'll all be good for everybody and we'll have a utopia. I don't believe it at all. I think that in the future you'll have to be smarter and you'll have to be more driven to make money. And I think that machines are going to replace a lot of people. I think we see it with like McDonald's and all those kind of places where essentially people are being replaced by machines. And you really don't need people to do all these jobs. You don't need people to deliver the newspaper. You don't need people to work a cash register. And all of these jobs are going to be replaced in the very near future. And even something like this 2020 crisis might be the impetus for that, right? Everybody's already laid off. Maybe we don't have to hire everybody back. And I don't own any of these places. I invest in some of them. If you remember 9/11, it kind of changed the world in some ways, right? When you go to the airport, things are different. I think that the 2020 crisis will be very similar, even if it's just something as small as a mostly cashless society. One of the things I'm really hoping to achieve with this channel is to help you stay positive when things are rough, when things are looking bad. I don't want you to sell at lows, right? The only bad thing you can do is buy high and sell low. It's pretty simple in that regard. It's a pretty simple business. Buy low, sell high. You can make it more complicated, but there's no point, right? There's no point in doing anything other. You can buy a margin, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm not advocating that. If there is going to be any fear, it should be afraid of being complacent. Be afraid of watching TV. Be afraid of just having one stream of income. Be afraid of not investing. Be afraid of that kind of stuff. Don't be afraid of investing. Don't be afraid of making a YouTube video. Don't be afraid of anything positive, man. Anyway, my next video will talk about fear a little more. Opportunity. That's what it's going to be about. Yeah. I can't wait for that one. So this is me. This is who I am. And if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. If you think the sun's too bright, let me know. Yeah, give me a thumbs up on the YouTube there. That'll help me out. And anyway, don't be afraid, man. Stop. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of anything unless you have to be. And then run. Run like the wind. Okay? Because that's what fear is for running. And don't forget what I told you.